The Galaxy S23 Ultra is finally here, and I'm actually pretty pumped about this phone since while it doesn't look drastically different from last year's, it does come with some pretty big upgrades. We got it in the Samsung.com exclusive red color, which looks more like a coral to me, with a matte black aluminum frame that goes all the way around. And I really like it. It almost makes the phone look more sporty. One of the main visual differences that you'll notice is with the cameras, which are now way beefier than they were before, not only protruding out more, but the rings around the lenses are like 2 or 3 times thicker, which makes the whole design of it feel much more intentional. I always felt like the S22 Ultra was just a pruned down version of the S21 Ultra, but with the S23 Ultra, it feels right. The only other visual difference that I can spot is in the edges, which are now less curved. They're not completely flat like it is on the iPhone, but I think Samsung found a good middle ground here, with it being flat enough to where you could get a good grip on the phone, but curved enough to where it still feels comfortable in the palm of your hand. And one of the other benefits of the less pronounced curved on the display is you get a little bit more usable screen real estate, which considering the phone has a built-in S Pen that can push up along those edges is nice to have. Okay, so one of the biggest upgrades is supposed to be with the new camera system, which now features a 200 megapixel main sensor. And while the images coming out of it look great, I don't think it's that big of an improvement over the S22 Ultra. The low light is maybe a hair better and the colors do seem more accurate, especially in this photo of our background lights, but the biggest improvement that I've personally noticed is actually in the image stabilization, with the S23 Ultra's video looking smooth even with the shakiest of hands. It's actually pretty impressive. On the flip side, the selfie camera's bigger sensor does allow for much cleaner looking low light photos and videos, but the most important improvement, at least to me, is one that Samsung didn't even talk about in the speakers, which not only are louder than before, but they also have more bass, giving you a much fuller sound experience that's pretty much on par with the speakers on the iPhone. And then finally, the last big upgrade this year is the new chipset, which is a bigger jump than you might think. Samsung is not only using the same chip across all of their phones, which is something they didn't do before, but it's a custom version of the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2, which not only brings huge performance gains, but is also more efficient. The phone is also using faster storage in UFS 4.0, so it has a real shot at beating the iPhone for that title of speed test champ, and we should see improvements in not just the battery test, but also the drop test, since this is the first phone to feature Gorilla Glass Victus 2, which Corning says is more resistant to drops on rough surfaces, which is what we do in our tests when we drop it onto concrete. But overall, my first impression here is I think the S23 Ultra brings the Galaxy the refinement that it was kind of missing last year, with this feeling like the most premium Android phone on the market without question.